If you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan, there's an important detail that cannot be overlooked now that the playoffs are officially at the door. The regular season is over. The core roster should already be set. And yet, the front office continues to make moves. And when a team does that at this exact point on the calendar, it's rarely by accident. The Eagles are just days away from starting their playoff run. Everything should be locked in. Everything should be settled. But that's not what's happening. Howie Roseman and the front office are still adjusting the roster, still fine-tuning pieces, still thinking through scenarios most people don't even consider. This week, the team announced the return of a veteran to the practice squad, a move that looks simple at first glance, a name that doesn't generate national headline, a player who is unlikely to be a focal point. But in the NFL, especially in January, the quietest moves are often the most revealing. The player in question is defensive back Howie Nickerson, a 6-year veteran who is returning to the Eagles' practice squad at the exact moment when every detail begins to matter more than ever. And before anyone dismisses this as just depth, it's worth stopping to look at the context. Nickerson is not a new face within the organization. Quite the opposite. He spent much of the season with the Eagles, appeared in meaningful games earlier in the year, and understands the defensive system, the locker room, and the team's mindset. He's not arriving, he's returning. And that distinction matters. This move also comes alongside the release of Ambry Thomas from the practice and the placement of Brandon Johnson on the practice squad injured list. In other words, this isn't an isolated transaction, it's a fine-tuning move. A reorganization aimed specifically at the most delicate moment of the season. In the playoffs, there is no room for improvisation. Every player needs to know exactly where to be, what to do, and how to react if something unexpected happens. And that's precisely where veterans like Nickerson come into focus. Howie Nickerson is 31 years old. He entered the league as a 6th-round pick of the New York Jets in 2018 out of Tulane. Since then, he's played for multiple franchises: the Jets, Jaguars, Packers, Vikings, Dolphins, and now the Eagles. He's never been a long-term locked-in starter anywhere, but that's exactly what makes him valuable right now. He's seen everything. He's been in different locker rooms, worked under different coaching staff, been forced to adapt quickly to different schemes, and perhaps most importantly, he previously worked with Vic Fangio during his time in Miami. That's not a small detail. Knowing the system, knowing the terminology, knowing how the defensive coordinator thinks the game, all of that reduces risk. And in the playoffs, reducing risk is almost as important as increasing talent. Nickerson brings versatility. He can line up inside. He can line up outside. He can contribute on special teams. He's not someone who's going to step in and change a game on his own. But he is someone who won't break the system if he's called upon. And in January, that's gold. Throughout this season, Nickerson appeared in 5 games for the Eagles between weeks 4 and 8. He logged limited defensive snaps, but played extensively on special teams. And when he was on the field, he didn't hurt the team. He wasn't constantly targeted. He didn't create problems that required emergency adjustment. He hasn't appeared in a game since the October matchup against the New York Giants, but he continued to orbit the roster, in and out, cut and re-signed. Exactly the type of player a team keeps close because it trusts what he can provide if needed. And that word matters. Needed. The playoffs are unpredictable. Injuries happen. Strange situations arise. A player goes down mid-game. A scheme has to be adjusted on the fly. A specific package needs someone who understands the role without a long explanation on the sideline. That's why Nickerson is there. Many people look at moves like this and think, this doesn't change anything, but that's a shallow read. Teams that go deep into the playoffs are usually the ones that think about these details before they're forced to. Howie Roseman has always operated this way. He doesn't wait for a problem to happen before acting. He tries to get ahead of it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but the pattern is clear: depth, flexibility, and experience. Nickerson's return is not a sign of desperation. Quite the opposite. It's a sign of preparation. Preparation rooted in the understanding that in January, you don't win with just your 22 starters. You win with the entire roster, with players who can step in without disrupting what already works. It's also worth remembering that the Eagles' secondary, while talented, has faced ups and downs throughout the season. Injuries have occurred. Adjustments have been required. Having another experienced piece available, is simply logical. Nickerson isn't coming back to compete with starters. He's coming back to be reliable, to be predictable, to be someone the coaching staff knows exactly what they'll get from, and just as importantly, what they won't get. In the playoffs, you don't need unexpected heroes at every position. Sometimes you just need someone who won't complicate. Another important factor is special teams impact. Playoff games are often decided by field position, a well-executed tackle on a kickoff, a disciplined lane on a punt, a clean snap that prevents disaster. Players like Nickerson often contribute far more in these moments than most people realize. He logged 60 special team snaps this season. That's not meaningless. That's trust. The Eagles aren't bringing Nickerson back because they expect him to be a star. They're bringing him back because they know that if something goes wrong, he won't panic. He won't make mental mistakes. He won't need to be taught in January. And here's a point that often goes unnoticed: the internal effect of this kind of move. When a roster sees the front office reinforcing depth even after the regular season ends, the message is clear. No one is comfortable. No one is guaranteed anything. Everyone must be ready. That keeps focus sharp, reduces complacency, and creates a state of heightened awareness. In the playoffs, that mindset matters. Teams that relax pay for it. Teams that maintain controlled tension tend to respond better when things don't go according to plan. And that leads to the most important takeaway of all. This type of move reveals the organization's mindset. The Eagles are treating the playoffs as a maximum risk environment. Nothing is too small to be addressed. No position is considered settled enough to ignore. That's a good thing. But it also shows the team understands how thin the margin is. When you're too comfortable, you stop adjusting. When you're alert, you keep refining until the last possible moment. And the Eagles are clearly in the second category. Nickerson's return, combined with other recent moves, points to a team preparing for adverse scenarios. A team that doesn't want to be caught off guard. A team that understands the details that don't show up in the box score can decide an entire game. In the end, Parry Nickerson may never see the field during the playoff. That's entirely possible, but simply having him there, available, prepared, and integrated, already serves an important purpose. The playoffs aren't just about who played. They're about who's ready to play if needed. And in that sense, the Eagles have just added another layer of security to the roster. It's not a flashy signing. It's not a move that excites the fan base, but it's exactly the kind of decision experienced teams make when they know January doesn't forgive careless mistakes. The Eagles are reinforcing what's already strong, protecting what already works, and preparing for the unexpected. And in the NFL playoffs, the unexpected always shows up.